Okay, there's a lot of people burning out in tech right now. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about 3 of the most important topics that I think are going to help you avoid burnout. Also, I forgot to film the intro earlier, so the setting's going to look a little bit different for the rest of the video, and we'll switch to that in about 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I should probably talk about why I kind of wanted to make this video. Amazon was my first company. That's the first company that I ever worked at straight out of school. I met a lot of really good engineers that come straight from school, or maybe it's from industry. For one reason or another, they end up burning out. And I think that that's a pretty common thing you'll see. And I think if you do a quick search on, Amazon software engineer YouTube videos, you'll see a lot of videos that are like, I quit Amazon after 3 years, or, I quit Amazon, burnout, I burned out, the real burnout life. So yeah, I mean, these are things that happen, and I'm still at Amazon. I don't feel particularly burned out right now, but I definitely empathize with that journey, and I've met a lot of really talented people who do end up burning out and who do end up leaving the company either in frustration or whatever the reason is. And my personal observation is that they would have succeeded. And I'm hoping that I can help give some advice that hopefully helps you lead a sustainable type of lifestyle in the industry. If that's something that interests you, once again, industry is not for everybody. If you feel that your passions lie elsewhere, you should absolutely pursue that. But if you are interested in finding a sustainable way to move through this industry, then hopefully this advice will help. And if you don't need it, fantastic, even better. Without waiting any further, let's get right into it. Yeah, so the first topic that I kind of want to talk about is, this one is a classic, Imposter Syndrome. So I'll kind of share a little bit anecdote for me, like when I first joined Amazon. I'm expecting a lot of my viewers to be a little bit younger, maybe in college, or maybe you're an aspiring engineer, or you've just started in the industry relatively early. Also, I apologize, my cat is really curious about this whole filming situation, so you're gonna see her running around a little bit. I'll just do a quick little intro. This is Hannah. You might see her in some other videos. She's around a lot. So I apologize if she's like running around on camera. I'll try not to, put her in too much. So anyways, what was it about? Yes, Imposter Syndrome. So when I first joined Amazon, I was an intern actually. A little bit of background about myself. For me, I wasn't very good at school. I went to a school with like 20 kids total. Anyways, long story short, I just came from a background where essentially, for me, Amazon was this like pie in the sky, super amazing company. And I was like, wow, I can't believe I got in. Like I kind of like snuck my way in. I cheesed the game or whatever. And I remember the moment, the first day of my internship, and I showed up and I sat down at my desk. And there's this big ultra wide monitor. I was just so blown away, and I remember just like, I never had an ultra wide monitor before, and so I just remember sitting there and just kind of thinking to myself like, whoa, like I can't believe I'm here. It was really very much like out of body experience. So yeah, there was a lot of expectations, and just maybe socially, like amongst me and my friends, that we kind of had built up this idea of how grand these companies were. Not to say that they're not great companies. I mean, I will leave all the opinions on how good the companies are to you, the viewers, or to individuals themselves. And I should clarify, everything that I say in this video these are opinions of my own. So this doesn't reflect the company in any way. I'm not trying to speak for Amazon, but these are my own personal opinions, and so I'll be sharing those views. But yeah, so I very much empathize with the idea of how grand it feels to work at this company and how intimidating that can be. I remember I was waiting in the orientation room, and I had some guy tap on my shoulder, and he was just like, by the way, these are the smartest people in the room. And you're just like, okay, I didn't need to hear that. Like I barely got through the interview. I got very lucky. I had the easiest interview question of anyone else. Funny enough, that's a thing you'll hear a lot of people say, I had the easiest interview question. Yeah, everyone, unfortunately, some people get really hard ones, some people get really easy ones. It's all really random. I'll make another video about that if you guys are interested. But yeah, needless to say, when I started at the company, I felt like I didn't belong. This feeling of imposter syndrome doesn't go away. It's very normal. Everyone has it. Whether you're an L4 engineer, which at Amazon is the entry level, or you're a principal engineer or a distinguished engineer, you are going to feel imposter syndrome, and it happens. So feel free to talk to somebody about it. There's loads of people around you are going to be able to share that experience, and I think it's important to feel confident. Given all of that about the intimidation of the workspace, yeah, if you ever feel like you don't belong at the company, or that everyone seems to know everything and you feel very lost, just know you belong there, okay? You went through the process, you made it in, good, you're there. Okay, so the first one is not asking for help. That's really common. And this one is actually probably the most common one. Yeah, so maybe the one thing that I see with a lot of entry-level engineers is obviously you've just started the company, maybe you're not too familiar with the tech. There's a lot of internal tooling. There's maybe even a lot of public tooling that you've just, for whatever reason, you never had the chance to kind of learn yourself. And that's fine, very normal, once again. But I'll say, yeah, sometimes you'll enter this situation where you're not really sure what to do, you're trying to solve it, but you don't actually know how to solve it, and you kind of just get stuck. And that's fine, it's normal. But now here's the thing, is you don't want to ask for help. And now suddenly you're just stuck, no one knows why you're stuck, you're just kind of in your bubble, and you feel really stressed out. I've talked to a lot of other entry-level engineers about this. I've gone through this myself. A lot of the times the feedback that I hear from people as to why they do this is there is always this tendency to want to present yourself in a really good manner. Am I asking for too much help? Am I asking for too little help? How do you know what's the right balance to strike? So I understand how it can be really stressful. My general advice here is if you ever end up getting stuck and you're just not sure what to do, don't be afraid to ask your mentor or your manager or whoever it is. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask them for help. I mean, they're there to help onboard you, to help ramp you up. Ideally, you would expect that, this kind of really big company like Amazon to have this super flushed out process, and you kind of just hop in and you're ready to go. It's not always the case. So a lot of times people are a little bit busy, maybe for whatever reasons, and very valid reasons, they didn't prep a very good ramp up plan for you. They're kind of expecting you to go out and speak to them. My general advice is that if you're ever running into an issue and you're not really sure how to get past it, time box some time to solve it. And what that means is, say, set 20 minutes. You pull a package that your team is working on and you just want to build it locally. And that's the precursor to you getting set up for your task. And for whatever reason, your build environment is not letting you do that. That's okay. So, setting up the build environment is probably the most painful thing that everyone hates dealing with. Give yourself a little bit of time to try to solve it and go through some self-checks with your But yeah, go through some checks with yourself. Did you read the error message? That's key. Did you look up the error message using either Google or the internal tooling? And once you've gone through the steps of okay, I looked up the error message, I found some links that might be helpful, maybe you tried it, didn't help, okay, whatever, 20 minutes go by, and you're still at the same place you started at. That's okay. Then go ask somebody. I think the only time I've ever seen anyone really get annoyed at someone asking for help is when you go to them for every single question. What you don't want to be is in a situation where you give your laptop over to whoever your mentor is or senior engineer, and you say, hey, I couldn't get past this issue, there's a build error, I don't know what's going on. And what you don't want is for them to look at the last line in the terminal output and say, that's your issue, go fix it. That is kind of normal, right? But as long as you've done a little bit of due diligence to say look, I saw the error message, I looked it up, couldn't really find the solution, they should help get you through that path. So if you didn't know, by the way, Amazon has these guidelines for what the different roles mean and what the expectations are. So if you're an entry-level engineer, you are expected to deliver, but there is a little bit of awareness that you might end up getting blocked. The next level after entry-level engineer, entry level is L4, so L5 is the next one. If you're an L5 engineer, the expectation is that you can unblock yourself. So if you ever get into an issue where you're stuck, you should be able to figure out a way past it, driving the solution on your own. That being said, so given that statement as an L4, the expectation is, okay, you're gonna get stuck, it's fine, have somebody help you. Okay, let's talk about the next big topic, working overtime. So let's talk about a scenario. If you haven't run into this yet, you're gonna run into it. Everybody runs into it, so imposter syndrome, circle back, see? Okay, your boss assigns you a task and asks you how long it's gonna take for you to deliver it. And maybe they've even told you when is the date that this thing needs to get delivered. Can you do it? Something along that effect. I'll tell you right now, just as a background, a good manager or mentor will actually already have done that estimation for you. Even if they've done it, a lot of times they'll ask because, one, obviously you're really the only person who's going to know whether or not you can do it in a certain amount of time, and two, they want you to go through that thought exercise yourself. But it's a learned process. So for me, when I'm working with a manager and we have a new hire, I know that person's going to take a little bit longer than whatever date they give. So maybe the manager or mentor has already added on 2 weeks buffer. Maybe they've not even told you the actual delivery date that they've communicated up to leadership. Maybe they've told you an earlier date so that you have the time to fail in a safe environment and to work past that, go through that learning. I've seen a lot of these different strategies. It kind of just depends on the style of management for that team. And I should also clarify, as much as I've seen L4s give really bad ETAs, I've also seen L5s give really bad ETAs. Kind of back to this whole imposter syndrome thing, like, it's a learned skill, but not everyone's perfect at it. If we were all perfect at giving ETAs, planning would be, you really wouldn't need to plan that much, to be honest. So don't feel bad if you ever miss it, or if you don't actually know how to give an ETA. But regardless of the situation, you gave a date and you realize you're gonna miss it. Okay, now what do you do? So you've given a date, you know you're gonna miss it, stress. So let me tell you what I see happen the most often with a lot of entry-level engineers, particularly L4s, right? You don't tell anyone. You decide to work late nights. You decide to work weekends. You do it, and maybe you'll meet the date. I'll be honest, I've seen people do that and miss the date. Heck, I've done that. I used to work like every weekend. I used to work weeknights because I felt that that's what I had to do. Maybe you've been told that this is a high priority project, or there's a high priority project that depends on this task. That can feel quite stressful. And so you decide, yeah, you're just gonna work the extra hours. You're just gonna make it happen because you've learned that you're a successful person and you make things happen. Don't do that. So don't take on that burden. If something was misplanned, communicate that. The key word we're looking for here is called escalating. It's called escalating. So I said that weird the first time, so I had to say it again. Whether it's your SDM, your TPM, or senior engineer, whoever it is, just tell somebody that you're at risk for meeting your deadline. Now at least you can have the conversation to work with them and figure out, how do we get past this? There's a lot of different options you can take at that point. You can accept the risk of the extended deadline. You can shift to another task that might be a more appropriate task. Like maybe your task just you weren't set up for success with that one. That's fine, that happens. Yeah, but whatever it is that happens, like, at least you can take action. So the first step to solving a problem is knowing what the problem is. Sounds corny, but so let's say you've now escalated it to your manager or your TPM or whoever. The first thing that they're going to say to you is, well, when will you get it done? If you're feeling stressed about telling them that, it helps to prepare some information ahead of time. So if you're going to escalate it to somebody, have a number in your head about when the real ETA is going to be. If you're an entry-level engineer, you're probably not going to be very good at finding a realistic ETA. One strategy that I think helps is take whatever date that you would expect yourself to do it and just add some buffer time. If it's a small task, I'll add like a couple days. If it's a little bit larger, like maybe I'm expecting to take a week to deliver it, I'm going to add an extra week on top of that. Like, that's a common tactic I've seen. Some people, they always just take whatever the L4 says and they just double it. Even if people are going to do that, it's nice if you're able to communicate a mature and realistic date that you will end up hitting. What you don't want to happen is say, I'm going to get it done in 2 more days, and then 2 days comes by and it's still not done. You say, okay, 2 more days, and you keep doing that. No, just if you think you're going to get done 2 days, say 4 days. Yeah, what you don't want to do is you don't want to keep hitting that date repeatedly. So, don't be afraid to give some buffer to the date, even if reasonably to yourself you don't feel like it should take that long. I would say this: if you're ever feeling guilty about, missing a date or whatever it is, whatever failure that's happened, just a general word of advice: things happen, right? And you're not going to be 100% every day. I think what's most important is you find the positive and constructive takeaways as you leave that experience, right? So it's easy to just feel guilty and just blame yourself. Oh, I'm terrible. Don't worry about it. It happened. It happens with everybody. Find the good takeaways, move on. Okay, I'll just close up this video. Like, a lot of things I'm saying is easier said than done. It can be a little challenging to kind of work through these situations, and take this advice, maybe turn into something actionable. But I hope the sentiment is there, and I hope this video comes across cohesively. Like, I'm relatively new to this whole tech channel thing, so if you ever have questions or if you yourself are going through this, I don't have a lot of viewers, so please comment. Like, I have plenty of time to respond, and I'll try to offer what advice I can. Yeah, and also, if you guys have anything that you would like to hear me talk about, if there's any topics you're interested in learning about, or anything about the Amazon experience or just tech industry experience you'd like to learn about, I do know people in other parts of the tech industry, so any topics that you're interested in, if there's anything I can offer to help you out in your journey, please let me know, please comment. I'll do what I can to try to, be of positive service on this platform. Like I said, the whole point of this video is there's a lot of really talented people out there. I think they just need to be given a good chance. Yeah, anyways, I hope you guys find this video helpful, or at the bare minimum, entertaining. I don't know. It's not much entertaining, it's just advice. Yeah, thanks for watching if you made it this far. Okay, that's it. Cut.